Welcome to my $100,000 stock experiment, year 3, week 31, ending November 13th, 2020. This isn't an endorsement to purchase any stocks that I've bought, nor an endorsement to purchase stocks in general. I'm on a mission to become a great growth stock investor, and I am letting you watch me on my journey. Hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and celebrate my successes. According to the IBD at investors.com, the market is in a confirmed uptrend, which means it's a good time to be buying stock. This is the S&P 500 index 6-month chart. It's a daily chart showing you one bar for each day, and I highlighted this week's action in the blue box up there. On Monday, this index swung about 100 points from the high to the low. That's a pretty big swing for this index, and it reached its highest volume in 6 months. You can see the volume section down at the bottom. It also reached an all-time high, but didn't close at it. The close this week was at $35.85, which is just about the same price that it opened up on Monday. I did purchase 6 stocks this week, and I got kicked out of 3 of them. They're shown in red. AMD, Peloton, and Sprout Social, I all got kicked out of. Every time I purchase a stock, I set a stop limit order at the floor. Initially, it's 8% below the purchase price, and I try and leave it at 8% for 4 weeks unless the stock makes a double-digit gain or if the market is not in a confirmed uptrend. Last weekend, I reviewed some of my previous holdings and thought it was time to get back in. I was looking for where that 8-day simple moving average was crossing above the 16-day simple moving average. I bought 3 of them, AMD, TSM, and SPT. This only worked for one of them, that was TSM. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, stock symbol TSM. I've held this stock for 5 days and it's up 1.6%. On this stock, I did nail where the 8-day and the 16-day simple moving average crossed, and it did work out for me. Plus, it had a nice up day on Friday. Roku, stock symbol ROKU. I've held this stock just the 2 days and it's down 2%. I do have a Roku and I use it almost every day. I also watch what stocks the ARK funds are buying, and this popped again up on their list. It only had a 4 out of 8 on my tweak screen, but this screen's not working so well for me. So I went ahead and bought the stock, and we'll see how it does in the coming weeks. I also purchased Tesla, which is down 2.7% in the 2 days that I held it. It does have tight price action, and the volume is lower. This stock is consolidating right around its 50-day simple moving average, and it did have an 8 out of 8 on my tweaked screen. All 3 of these stocks that I just purchased, I did leave my floor at the 8%. Every week I review my charts and see if I can raise my floor. ResMed Inc., stock symbol RMD. I've only held this stock for a week and a half and it's up 0.8%. But I did raise my floor up to that green 16-day simple moving average. This stock has had quite a big jump up, and I thought if it dropped below this point, it was probably broken. The pattern was. So I did raise my floor up to that. It's at 200.77. Paycom Software, stock symbol PAYC. I have 2 buys in this stock. One I've held just about 6 weeks and it's up 11.7%. And one I've held for 4.5 weeks and it's up just about 1%. I left my floor where I moved it up to last week, which was the 31-day exponential moving average last week. If I exit at that point, I would have a 1% gain over my B1 and my B2 total. If I raised it to that 31-day exponential moving average this week, my exit would be 5%. But on Friday, 11/6, so 1 week ago, it did have a low below the current 31-day exponential moving average. So I thought raising the floor up to that point may trigger, and I'm trying to hold on to my stocks. I already told you that I sold AMD, Peloton, and Sprout Social, which I bought this week, and they all triggered a sell right away. Plus 3 stocks I bought last week, JD, MSCI, and NVIDIA, all triggered a sell and then I had one sell that I held for 6.5 weeks, Viva. All of those took an 8% loss or greater. I got kicked out of the following 3 stocks the day or the day after my purchase. Sprout Social, stock symbol SPT. I bought this stock on the 9th and got kicked out the same day. I had been trying to buy where the 8-day and the 16-day simple moving average cross, but I got in a little too early on this stock and I put the arrow where the actual cross is. So maybe I should have waited a couple days and I'd still be in this stock. But I held it just that one day and I took a 7.6% loss. Advanced Micro Devices, stock symbol AMD. I held this stock just the 2 days and I took an 8% loss. It's not the first time I've had a hard time holding on to this stock, and it does seem to be going sideways for quite some time. Here's the chart for Peloton, stock symbol PTON. I held this for just the 2 days and I lost 7.8%. On Monday, when the vaccine was announced, many stay-at-home and tech stocks plunged. I'd wanted to buy Peloton for a long time, so when it dropped 20%, I jumped in. Maybe I jumped a little too fast. For my Melissa Method experiment, which is in my Roth 401k, I got in around 100. Then I wanted to make another buy in my traditional 401k, and the price had dropped a little bit, so I got in at 99. The purchase in my Melissa Method has failed at 8%, but my other buy is still holding on, teaching me that entry price does make a difference. To me, the drop because of the vaccine is irrational, as Peloton has a great subscriber-based model. They sell the hardware, the bike or the treadmill, and then you pay a subscription fee every month to participate. I think people will continue to be subscribers and purchasers even after the coronavirus is gone, as it's so much more convenient to exercise at home. I also got kicked out of 3 stocks that I held less than a week. NVIDIA Corp, stock symbol NVDA. I held this stock just the 4 days and I lost my 8%. Earnings are coming up in a few days, so we will see what happens. MSCI Inc., stock symbol MSCI. Also held this stock for 4 days and I lost 8%. I looked at this chart and I was wondering if I bought when it was extended, but it was in the top of the pivot range, still within 5% of the pivot. The start of the pivot was at 398.49, and if I bought at that low end, it would not have triggered a sell. JD.com, stock symbol JD. This is a stock I also held for 4 days and got kicked out. It did jump below my floor on Tuesday. I didn't sell it right away, but I went in and reset my floor at 12% and it did trigger. And you can see it stayed there for one more day and then it popped right back up to my purchase price. So I would have been better off not selling this, but I have my rules and got out. It was a 12% lot. Viva Systems, stock symbol VEEV. I held this stock for 6.5 weeks and I took a 7.7% loss. It sold on the second big volume day. It's especially painful selling a stock after 6.5 weeks when it had been up as much as 8%, and then I took an 8% loss. Your money's tied up for that 6.5 weeks. It could have been doing something, hopefully making money somewhere else, but then you take a loss. Ouch. My current holding bar chart shows that I have 5 stocks. Each bar represents the 1 week or portion of a week that I've held the stock. So Paycom I've held for 6 weeks, and it's really not making any progress since the second week that I held it. So I don't know, doesn't look good there. Maybe I should just get out and take my 11% profit. RMD I've held for 2 weeks, and it is just above the $10,000 purchase amount, which is that dashed black line. Roku and Tesla I have a loss in, so those are below that dashed black line. And TSM I have a small gain in as well. I take a look at my current dollar value gain and I sort them with the losers on the top. So Tesla and Roku are the 2 that I have losses in. followed by RMD, TSM, and then Paycom I have a nice gain in. And I look at the weekly percentage change, sorting with the lowest value on the top. So Tesla, it's not down 2.7% for the week, but down 2.7% since I purchased it. Since I've held Tesla, Roku, and TSM for only a couple of days, that just shows since the purchase price. The Paycom and RMD numbers in the 1113 column are showing the loss or gain for the week. I put them in red, both of them, because neither of them beat the S&P 500 this week. And this is really depressing. You can see I lost quite a bit of money this week, about $7,000. My $100,000 after 2 years and 31 weeks has grown to $144,136 versus the S&P 500, which has grown to $134,968. I was surprised at the amount of loss from my holdings that I held last week and sold this week. Going from having some profit to an 8% loss took the biggest hit on my portfolio. My existing holdings I lost $262 on. My stocks that I held last week and sold this week, all of them had a gain last week, and this week they all sold for 8% or more loss. I lost $4,903 in. And then my 3 new purchases that I got triggered out of right away, plus the other 3 purchases that I still hold, had a total loss of $2,638. This chart is showing you the S&P 500 on the left-hand side and the Melissa method on the right-hand side, and I am in the red on all accounts. My weekly change, I went down just over 5%. My year-to-date, since the beginning of 2020, I'm down 2.7%. And my experiment year, which started mid-April, I'm down 0.4%. The S&P 500 is doing way better than I am. The weekly change, the S&P 500 was up 2.2%, and the experiment year for the S&P 500 is up 28.5%. I have some cash to make some purchases, but I want to see some progress in my existing holdings before I take on more risk. I may make 1 or 2 buys this week, but I won't get fully invested in the upcoming week. The industry and sector breakdown is showing I'm most heavily invested in cash, and my second biggest holding is in software with 2 purchases in Paycom. And then I just have 1 purchase each, which is around $10,000 in the chips, leisure, and medical sectors. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye out for my next episode, or better yet, subscribe to my channel, The Melissa Method. Don't forget to hit the bell if you want an alert when I post a new episode.